Good afternoon, everybody. Can you believe it? It's now Uncommon Sense number 99. On the road to 100, you don't get much closer than 99. It's again Craig Kamanis and Dean Holmes here with you today. And today we're going to talk about doing business in December. It's that magical time of year where half the country's mentally on a beach, the other half's pretending they're not. And then you've got a whole heap of business owners who are stuck somewhere in the middle, trying to work out if they should push harder, whether they should wind down or just buy everyone a box of chocolates and call it a strategy. But here's the truth to our listeners. December is one of the most misunderstood months in business. Most people think it's a write-off. We think it's a window, a rare one, where clients are more reflective, people are more open, and momentum is easier to build because everyone else, Dean, is asleep at the wheel. So today we're going to unpack not just how to survive December, but actually use it as a strategic advantage in our business. That's my radio opening for you today, Dean, and no one better to start this conversation than, of course, you, my co-host and good friend.
Excellent. Let's jump in, Craig, and well done again for the very wise introduction that you've set us up with for today. So you're absolutely right. December is a crazy month of social activities, catching up with your business associates, BDMs, lunches, thank you events, as well as making sure you bought everything on Black Friday to get the sales in, getting ready for your Christmas break, tidying the house and cutting those bushes down. So it is a big job for the month of December. And so what we're focused on today is having a conversation about what do we expect from our staff and clients and ourselves during this period, making sure that we're giving you some tips and thoughts in relation to how we can get the most out of this month, noting that the month is probably a lot shorter than what we all predict, but we should get the most out of it. So Craig, let's get started in terms of the motivation side of it, both for ourselves and our staff. What comes to mind for you in terms of yourself and the team?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because everyone's, it's December, it's busy, it's this, it's that. I think within our industry, there's been this massive trajectory change. If you go back when I first started as a young man in this industry, Melbourne Cup hit, and it was almost like no one did anything else after Melbourne Cup other than socialise and catch up and build relationships.
Until Australia Day.
Until Australia Day, right? Like it was that long off, where now you've just seen all of that change. And maybe that's Dean too, because of the different client types we've got and the types of sets we've got. But it just seems now that, yes, there's little bits of fun along this period, but there is also a real push for work right through to the end. And I think you're right. In terms of sitting with your team and looking at how that works for culture and capacity planning and all of those types of things, December's a really interesting month, isn't it? Because I think it can expose sometimes, when you've got European heritage and you move your hands too much.
Stop using your hands.
Stop using your hands for those looking.
It's the microphone's fake. It's all right.
yeah, that's right. No, it's actually real. Just a cheap one. But yeah, it's about, have I got the right people? Sometimes it can expose team members who just go, it's December, I can just be lazy. Sometimes it's also on the positive side. It's a good way to strengthen up that team and make sure that, I guess, you celebrate what's happened over that calendar year, but just get everyone pushing and focused on the right things right through to the end. Particularly in my mind, Dean, how do you clarify stuff for clients before they go on their break?
Yep.
So that they're not sitting through this holiday period where they can't talk to you guessing stuff or overthinking stuff because they haven't got the clarity for you before we've finished up. And I think that's a little bit dangerous in a number of ways. One is if they're overthinking stuff and they haven't got clarity, who knows who they're going to talk to at the Christmas Day turkey carving or the barbecue or the whatever they're doing. And so my advisor sorted this out for me. You should just forget your person. You should go and see them. There's that risk. But plus, just who wants their clients to go into this break unsettled without clarity? So it's
absolutely. So we've always had the mantra when we talk about things on this show is that for clients, we want to keep them really well informed about their money. It's the most important thing, not the most important, but a very important thing to get right. And it's appropriate that we keep clients really well informed as to what's going on. And so The very obvious one through this process is letting the clients know when your office is closed and when your office is open again, and still an emergency number that they might be able to get in contact with someone, typically the advisor, if there's something that is serious that needs escalating over that period of time. So keeping everyone informed about that is housekeeping and a necessity. Obviously, coming down the line as well is the idea that we keep clients that might be new to the business. So we're just early on in the work. The journey of a new client that signs up in December can be amazing or it can be awful. Okay. And so the awful version of that is that you don't really get anything done in December. You go on holidays, you come back mid-January, you pick it back up at that point in time. And it could be February or March before you've got some real traction with that client. And so we need to flip that around and look at clients that we're taking on this week. We actually have to get some meaningful results before you go on annual leave, whether that's, we're just saying around the 20th, you have to get the work done and the client aware of the work done before that period of time. And so that's for these new clients. We want them to have a great experience of working with us in December, not I went on too many Christmas parties, I had too many other things due, and I pushed it to January. Now, if you do push it to January, but don't tell the client, that's worse. So we need to keep clients, as we said, really well informed through that process. And then the final message for client service in December is don't drop things on a client's inbox on the 20th of December. So remember, Craig, we're all amazingly efficient at getting to inbox zero on the last day before our annual leave. Yeah. Most people just bash out in emails, forward them to everyone that needs to do the work, and just reallocates everything in those hours before going on annual leave. And so that is some energy that I want people to harness, but we want to harness it much further earlier in December than the 20th of December. We don't want to be sending emails to clients, letting them know things are going on the 20th, because they have no ability to reply to that email and have someone read it because everyone's gone on holidays. So I think the concept of almost like a soft shutdown the week before, in that everything that needs to get out of the office, communication that needs to get out of the office, it's actually happening earlier so that clients have the ability to come back and ask questions of that work, instead of once again being left in this information hole. You sent me an SOA, but I've got no one to talk to about it.
Yep. Dean, what about setting January up for success? Do you have a belief of, do you use early December as a month where you stack up and get ready for January when the business is back? Or do you just let January be that month when you get back that's a bit quieter and then you start planning? Or do you...
There's two different types of businesses, Craig, and therefore two different strategies for January that I see, and this is late December and January. So there's some businesses out there that have a younger demographic, and so just typically saying that younger demographic really appreciates the January forward-looking goal setting exercise. And so if you've got clients that are, let's just say, sub 45, they're actually really interested in getting together in January and working on their goals, resetting the strategy for the next 12 months and getting stuck into it. Okay. Now, that's sometime in January for those particular clients. Typically, those clients don't have kids or have young kids, so they're not in the school holidays grind at that point in time. And so they're actually wanting to get back to work relatively early. They're focused on returning, because why would a young person go away in January during school holidays? It's just a nightmare. So there's a bunch of clients that want to get back to work. And there's a bunch of advisors as well, Craig, that want to get back to work in early January. Yep. And so we should look at that category and lean into the work. Second group of advisors and clients are the older clients that are actually enjoying January, not necessarily all the way to Australia Day, but enjoying parts of January. And so for those advice practices, it's actually doing much more internal work, working on the business, fixing some systems and processes, getting ready for what the busy months would be of March, April, May, for what I would call maybe a more typical financial planning business.
So I guess it's not really like the it's the wrong month for these heavy, complex conversations and stuff, but it is the right month for light conversations within your business, maybe a little bit of strategic future focused stuff, because people tend to reflect a bit in December too. I hope they do.
Mm.
I know we align to financial years sometimes, but a little bit of a calendar year reflection is also a good
Oh,
thing.
absolutely. Indeed.
Um, when you get that chance, I guess, to naturally, like even I think business owners and in their business, but also clients as well. And you maybe even know within yourself that December sort of is that time where you naturally take a little bit of stock of your life. What's happened with money, what's happened with goals, what's happened in business. So I think there's got to be a little bit of room for that too.
Absolutely. And so how do we use that energy is
Mm.
that if you're feeling that, Craig, your clients are feeling that as well. And so the concept that we have of the love call, of just that unplanned, unstructured call to a client around the middle of December, is really valuable as just a reflection conversation, I suppose. It's a Merry Christmas or it's an enjoy the holidays kind of thing initially, but just go, it's been a really good year for you, or it's been a really busy year. I hope you've got through it. Just that kind of relationship building element in December can be really powerful, because clients, we might assume that they have a little bit of time, they're able to have that chat as well. Perhaps that's a great time to be strengthening a relationship as opposed to delivering an SOA.
Yeah, yeah, very much. Does decision fatigue drop in December, Dane? Do you think people are just more open to simple, positive ideas by the time we get to now, or?
I think that so this is the danger zone of business, because December's 1/12 of the year. So it's still a large amount of the year in terms of the quality and quantity of work that can get done. And so we still therefore have to treat December as if it's a productive month. So not just doing easy work is an example of what I'm talking about here, Craig, of going, because it's leading into Christmas, I'm just going to get the minimal work off my desk and not try to do any complex or needle moving tasks in terms of the business.
Yep.
And absolutely, people are expecting results in December. Business owners and people are expecting results in December regardless. And what I would say is that because it can be quieter from the client's perspective, this is a time when when I talk to business owners, December and January is a time where you're working more on the business and able to do some of those projects, because you can block out a Thursday in the middle of December, or the last week that you're working in December, and do some really great strategic work, and then go to your Christmas party. But there is space in your world to spend 1 or 2 days working on a process or working on your goals, so that then you're setting yourself up for the next calendar year to do the same thing early January. And this is a time where you can work on the business.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree, mate. And I think too, the thing that comes to mind for me is, and all the things you've talked about through this, reflect on that, but just really plan December out well. Because what we know is if you get close to the end and you start rushing, and it's, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do that. That one's, that's got to be done. That's got to be done. You're going to make a mistake. And it's going to impact somebody, whether it's you, a client, a team member, the business overall. Those rushes to the end to get out the door to go to the team Christmas lunch aren't effective. And we're talking from experience. We've all been there. We've all had those moments. I've got this real fire list I've got to get done. And it'll cause something to go wrong. It's now the 27th of November. Take a breath, get prepped up for doing business in December, and make sure you're not rushing either.
Absolutely. And so taking the time to work out how long things are going to take is key there, Craig. Like, the whole thing, our business runs on SOAs at the end of the day. And so you know that you need to request the SOAs this week if you've got any hope of getting them back by the 12th of December, kind of thing, from your partners or your internal power planners. And that prioritization and forward planning has to happen now. It can't happen on the 10th of December going, I need all these SOAs produced at that point in time, because we're running out of time to obviously give them to clients and let clients to come back and ask us as well. And so the next thing, Craig, is
Yep.
I always talk about my experience working in kitchens of when it was quiet from the perspective of customers haven't arrived, diners haven't arrived yet, or the bride hasn't arrived yet, and things like that, and you're organized. In a kitchen context, there's always something to clean. Okay. And so whenever we were quiet, my boss would just pull this magical list from her mind of all the things that we needed to go and clean and organize in the kitchen in order to keep us really well organized for the future. Doesn't matter when, but we're just getting more organized than what we currently are. And so I want this list in business owners' heads for all of our team leading into December as well. Because what we find is that if you've got a remote team or team working in Cebu in the Philippines as well, is that there should always be this list of important but not urgent that you can go and clean. From my analogy, you can go and update, whether that's people going through and making sure data's up to date in Xplan, or filing's up to date, or email management's up to date. There's always these little projects that can be done as we lead into the back half of December that are really important to do, but we have to have thought of them ahead of time in order to make sure that we're giving it to the team and making sure that they're aware that this is an important project. Once we've got our client work done, I want to get a day or two working on this. And it's, to your point earlier, it's not taxing work, but it's important work. And that might be, let's go through and check the whole system to make sure Xplan has our ongoing service agreement dates, or let's go and make sure that we've got the key review dates in the Xplan. We've done all the things we need to do so that we can check that everything's okay. And this is the whole process of cleaning, getting ready to clean the kitchen, which is on the business owners and business leaders, and then actually going to leave that with the staff to run through when they've gone and when you're getting to that back end of December.
I love that, mate. No, I like where you've gone with that analogy, because in preparation for today, I was jotting down what I thought was some of the December sort of return on investment activities that you could do. And we would have covered off some of these as we go, but mate, I'm going to ping them at you, and I want your short version. Yes, no, maybe, do it, don't do it.
Okay.
This is the cleaning the kitchen, making sure that things are, most of these, when I wrote them up, were about high impact, low effort focus areas, because this seems to be the space people are in. And I know we have covered off some of these as we've chatted through the last 15 minutes or so. But anyway, relationship calls, let's start there.
Absolutely do them. I always say do them. Leave a voicemail if you want, but not everyone checks voicemail these days. So do it and send a text message so the client doesn't have to call you back, but do twice as many as what you think you should normally do.
Lovely. Gratitude notes.
The idea of handwriting is still a lovely thing. Now, one of my clients is, we send Christmas cards. And my follow-up question to that was, are they all handwritten? And that is the gratitude note, or something that is handwritten, still works amazingly well. So what is that for me? I do love that if you can think of a personalized book to give to a client and handwrite in the front of it so they can't re-gift it, as well as they get a nice message written from you, a Christmas card or a thank you note at this time of year is actually lovely. Lots of the businesses that I work with, we've gone past this giving clients a gift to giving as our gift in terms of making donations to charities or to support organizations. But the thing that we can do is that handwriting and gratitude is our time and our effort that clients will appreciate.
Lovely. We touched on this depending on the clients you've got, but pre-bookings for January?
Oh, absolutely. So if your January is busy and that's your review month, you should already have your bookings link in Microsoft or your Calendly set up, sent out. Clients should be booking the January meetings now. Shout out to Mike Miller, who's watching. He just told me in our coaching meeting that he's already got most of his January booked because that's his annual review. Mikey. Although he doesn't call it annual review, it's aspirational review. So it's actually where we've been and where we're going, which is amazing. And he's got everyone booked in for January already.
Good work, Mikey. Proud of you, mate. Pipeline cleanups.
It's a quick one, but yeah, absolutely. So the pipeline cleanup is really interesting. So this is a new business concept. So at the end of the day, if you get into the first week of December, the people that are on your pipeline list that kind of expressed interest, they're not doing anything in December. There's no urgency or tension. So what you're doing at those point of time is that you can outreach them and get them to book in January, or you can say, I'm going to contact you in January. We need to get started in January. So create some urgency and tension for January. But that's your last ditch effort on those names for the next 6 months. So you give it a good hit in and around this particular time of year. We've run out of time for December. Here's the link. Book in for January. Don't leave it for another 6 months.
Good. Documenting, sharing, and discussing wins.
Yeah, absolutely. So what better time? Everyone has some version of an office Christmas party one way or another. You might have already had it in November or it's coming up. The opportunity there to actually be real in the meeting of sharing genuine stories about how the business has gone over the last 12 months, sharing the personal win and the personal lesson, not loss, but the personal lesson for everyone within the business is a valuable time to spend, a valuable connection at that business level that I think everyone should do before they go out to lunch.
Nice. Next year theme setting.
Really good, which we'll get a little bit on this in a moment, but definitely what you want to get yourself ready for in January is you want to have your motivational focus starting really quickly in January. So January is not a waste of time as well. Okay. And so what we're trying to think about if we go through this framework of getting ready for January and having a keyword is I love the idea of actually having a motivational word for the year. Okay. So it's whether you've said it now or you're doing the thinking around it, but you might have a word like discipline. And so discipline is your focus word for January and beyond. And you define what makes a great advisor that focuses on their discipline. What are they like? What are their behaviors and activities? And this can help you start the year really well.
Yeah, I like that one, Danny. You talking about that reminds me of, I remember at a conference once, Harry Moffat was talking and he was one of the high performance coaches for Collingwood the year they won their flag. And you just saying, focusing in on a word there, like he was breaking it down a little bit further in terms of they were setting missions each week or mission for the period of time, but it was that crystal clear focus on something that everyone could get behind. So I really like your idea there with the word. I think that aligns nicely. And then the whole, which sort of fits in with a couple of the others, but the end of year, are we still aligned conversations?
Aligned in staff?
Yeah, this could be your team, the business strategy, all of that kind of thing. Could be actually the 3 or 4 directors if there's multiple business owners.
Look, I think it's a really good conversation. So whether it's happening on the same day as the Christmas party, so we've got that sharing amongst the entire team. Then you do this kind of stuff. Then if you're all still
maybe
happy,
at 10 o'clock that night when the truth serum's out.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, it's really important, as we talk about a bit on here in terms of the coaching cadence or the business cadence, is to reflect on the company values, the company focus, the core focus in where they're going. And yes, it should be a thing that everyone checks in on and going, let's just make sure everyone's on the corporate bus, everyone's aligned on that vision, everyone's happy with the direction that the business is going in. That's absolutely a good thing to be reflecting on. And that also drives everyone's inner core, employees or owners, going, what's the next year going to be like? Am I doubling down? Am I going to find a new job, et cetera, et cetera?
Very good. That was my list of December return on investment activities.
Amazing.
And thank you for playing along.
Thank you. That was excellent. So what am I finishing with in terms of December, Craig, is the last thing that I'd love everyone, all of our listeners, to start to do as they get closer to the end of the year and the start of the holidays is go with an exercise of trying to be intentional around your holiday. So what does that mean to me? It actually means before you start your holiday, I want you to think about what your holiday is going to be like. Okay. And so a couple of things that really came out in terms of how I've been prepping and thinking about this is you go, firstly, is it going to be, family and personal comes into it? You go, what do you want from those interactions with family and fun? Health and well-being and fitness. What is your intention with that? Are you going to overeat and then go to the gym in January, or you're going to balance it out, having a really good think about that as well. I want everyone to have a think about how they want to embrace technology over the break, as in, can they or would they like to completely be off technology for a period of time, and how they would share that goal with their friends and family in order to be able to help do it. But I think that's a good thing of going in. Do you want to learn something over the holidays? So there's 1,001 Harvard University courses that you can do for free. Do you want to improve your knowledge over the break in an area that isn't related to financial planning? Our brains are capable of learning more than one thing, of course, Craig. And it's interesting to our brains if we go and learn something else. So that might be a personal growth intention for the time that you have. And then the mental refresh of everyone. If do you want to read or separate yourself and have some quiet time, whatever it ends up being in the mental refresh as well. But just trying to plan your holidays a little bit to get some intention into your holidays to achieve something that you set out to, as opposed to just participating in the 2 or 3 week holiday and then getting to the end of your holiday and not necessarily feeling refreshed because you didn't identify at the start what you needed to do in order to feel refreshed after your break.
Mate, that is a lovely way to sum up.
Thanks, mate. I'll use AI and I'll take all of that and turn it into a check. Thank
business in December. That was doing business in December. That was also Uncommon Sense episode 99. Dean, we have one to go for the year, and a very special one that will be.
Coincidentally, Craig, the last one of the calendar year actually ends up being episode 100. It's like we organized it. But it's a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday, the 11th of December is locked in as Uncommon Sense number 100. So if you are an avid listener, please dial in during that time. Send us a message through LinkedIn, or if you need the link or anything like that. But yeah, we're really looking forward to spending episode 100 together, live together in the same location, Craig, and reflecting on what's been almost a 2.5 year journey.
Mate, stop it. I'll get emotional.
Yeah, that's all for next time.
That's all for next time. Given today's topic, mate, we better get going because we've got December to plan for.
Absolutely. Thanks, and see you next time.